They say we rescue them, but in the hills of this small valley, it was the other way around. When an ancient dam failed, a 78-year-old man and his rescue dog, Rex, became the only hope for their neighbors. This story is a testament to the instinct of a rescue dog and a reminder that when disaster strikes, your dog might just be the most prepared person in the room. Imagine being stuck on a roof in the middle of a catastrophic flood, 12 feet of churning debris. Between you and safety, most would give up, but Rex isn't most dogs. While the world was screaming, he was the only one with a plan. Watch how this German Shepherd orchestrated a daring roof turf escape and signal. Rescuers when everyone else had lost their voice, it was the 5th consecutive day of rain that refused to relent. The sky over our small valley in the foothills had turned an unrelenting slate gray, the kind of color that seeps into your bones and makes you forget what sunshine feels like. Thunder grumbled constantly, low and ominous, like distant artillery that never quite arrived. Rivers that had once been gentle streams now roared through the landscape, carving new paths and swallowing old ones. We had watched the water rise steadily each day, first creeping over the garden beds, then lapping at the porch steps, but no one in our quiet neighborhood truly believed the old dam upstream would fail. Warnings had come and gone over the years. The structure was ancient, patched and repatched, but it had always held, until it didn't. The break came just after midnight on that 5th night. A deep, earth-shaking crack rolled down from the hills, louder than any thunder we'd heard so far. It wasn't the sky splitting open, it was concrete and steel giving way. Within minutes, a wall of brown water exploded into the valley. Our modest 2-story house where my wife Elena and I had raised 2 children who were now grown and living in the city stood directly in its path. The first surge hit the foundation like a battering ram. Windows rattled, the power flickered, and died. Darkness swallowed everything except the strobe of lightning and the relentless hiss of rain on the roof. We woke to chaos. The water was already ankle-deep in the living room when I stumbled downstairs in my pajamas. Lena was right behind me, clutching her phone. Useless now. No signal, battery low. The kids should we call? She started, but the words died as another wave crashed through the front door, splintering the frame. We ran up the stairs, and the pull-down ladder to the attic. The water chased us, climbing each step with terrifying speed. In the attic, we found old boxes of Christmas decorations, forgotten photo albums, a few blankets. We pushed them against the vent window for a makeshift barrier, but it was futile. The house groaned as if in pain. Beams creaked. The floor beneath us felt unsteady. Lena pressed her face to the small vent window, peering out into the night. The street's gone. I wrapped my arms around her. We were both shaking, not just from cold, but from the raw terror of realizing we might not make it out. No helicopter lights overhead, no sirens cutting through the storm, just rain, thunder, and the rising flood. Then we heard it. A sharp, insistent bark dot, rhythmic, cutting through the roar like a knife. It came from next door, Mr. Bob's place. Robert Bob Harlan was 78, a retired mechanic who had lived in the valley his entire life. He kept to himself mostly, tending his small vegetable patch and his dog, a sturdy German Shepherd mix named Rex. Rex was no puppy about 7 years old. Black hand tan with a white blaze on his chest, ears always alert. Bob had rescued him as a stray years ago, and the two had been inseparable ever since. In the flashes of lightning, we saw them. Bob on his sloped roof, soaked to the bone, waving one arm wildly while holding a flashlight in the other. Rex stood beside him, front paws on the peak, barking non-stop toward our house. The dog's body language was unmistakable too. Low but steady, every muscle tensed in urgency. Bob cupped his hands and shouted something we could barely make out over the wind. He disappeared for a moment, then reappeared, dragging an old aluminum extension ladder. With surprising strength for his age, he extended it across the narrow gap between our roofs perhaps, 12 feet at most, and hooked the far end over our attic vent frame. The ladder bowed under its own weight in the gusts, but it held. Alina looked at me, eyes wide. "You have to try." I nodded. There was no other option. I went first, crawling on hands and knees, gripping each slick rung as if my life depended on it, which it did. Rain lashed my face. Wind shoved at my back, like invisible hands trying to push me off. Below, the water churned, carrying branches, trash cans, pieces of fences. One wrong move, and I'd be swept away. Halfway across, a gust rocked the ladder violently. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs. Rex's barking intensified, almost frantic now, as if willing me forward. I forced myself to keep moving, one rung at a time, until my hands grasped the edge of Bob's roof. Bob reached down and hauled me up. I collapsed beside him, gasping. Alina followed. She moved slower, whispering prayers with every shift. Rex never stopped barking, steady, encouraging. When she reached the roof, Bob pulled her to safety. We huddled together, 3 drenched humans and 1 soaked dog, while the storm raged around us. Bob's face, lined and weathered, broke into a small, tired smile. Knew you'd come across if I gave you away. Rex wouldn't shut up till I did something. I looked at Rex. The dog pressed against Bob's leg, still alert, tail wagging once in acknowledgement. To our astonishment, Bob had prepared. Years of living in flood-prone country had taught him caution. In his attic, he'd stashed emergency gear. 3 adult-sized life jackets, 1 clearly dog-sized with straps. Compact inflatable rescue boat he bought after a near-miss flood 5 years earlier. Waterproof flashlights, a small dry bag with protein, bars bottled water, and a first aid kit. We get this boat in the water before the roof goes, Bob said calmly. Help me inflate it. We worked in the dark, hands numb, rain pounding our backs. The boat was small, meant for 4, at most but sturdy. We strapped on the life jackets. Bob rigged a simple harness for Rex from spare webbing so the dog would unslip off if the boat rocked. When the water reached the eaves and began lapping over the shingles, we slid the inflated boat into the current and climbed in. The river that had once been our street swept us away instantly. We paddled with anything we could, grabbed broken branches, a garden shovel handle Bob had brought from his shed. Debris rushed past, a child's bicycle, chunks of siding, an entire uprooted bush. The wind drove rain horizontally, stinging eyes and skin. Alina clung to me. I held Rex's harness tight. The dog sat in the bow like a figurehead, ears pricked, scanning ahead. Hours blurred, cold seeped into every joint. Our voices grew hoarse from shouting warnings about obstacles. Protein bars and water kept us going, but barely. After what our frozen watches said was about 6 hours, disaster struck again. A massive tangle of fallen trees and debris blocked the channel ahead. The current slammed us into it. The boat wedged hard, tilting dangerously. We rocked violently, water sloshing over the sides. One by one, our flashlights died, batteries exhausted. Total darkness closed in, broken only by lightning that turned the world white for split seconds. We were stuck, exposed, freezing. Our shouts for help dissolved into the storm. Then Rex began barking again, with a frantic alert from earlier this was deeper, more deliberate. A steady, powerful rhythm carried over wind and thunder. He stood tall in the bow, chest out, head high, barking toward the upstream darkness without pause. Each bark seemed to say, "Here, we're here, come find us." Alina gripped my hand. "He's not stopping." Bob nodded, voice rough, nose. Far off, maybe a quarter mile, we spotted faint pinpricks of light, flashlights or headlamps bobbing erratically. The rescue team volunteers, firefighters, whoever was out in this hell sweeping the valley. They were close, but not close enough. The storm swallowed our screams. Rex never wavered. Bark after bark, relentless, piercing. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, then a shift. The distant lights paused, turned. A larger rescue boat emerged from the gloom to powerful outboards cutting through debris. Strong beams swept over us. Voices shouted instructions. Hands reached out. They pulled Alina aboard first, then me, Bob next. Leaped across the gap without hesitation, landing sure-footed on the deck. Blankets enveloped us. Someone pressed hot coffee into my hands. Warmth reeled. Warmth began to return. At the evacuation center hours later, dry clothes, hot soup, emergency cots, we pieced together the night. Bob had noticed subtle signs days earlier. Unusual creaking from the dam during inspections, water levels rising faster than forecasts. He'd quietly prepared. Rex, sensing the tension, had refused to stay inside during the worst. He'd paced the porch, ears up, listening to things we couldn't hear. When the water rose, Rex's barking had woken Bob just in time to climb to the roof and spot our attic light. But it was Rex's final, tireless vigil in the stuck boat, those unyielding barks that had bridged the last impossible distance. Without him, we might have waited too long in the cold and dark. Hypothermia, exhaustion, the boat tipping. Any number of endings. We sat together that night in the crowded gym turn shelter. Alina and I on one cot, Bob on another, Rex curled between us with his head on Elena's lap. No one spoke much. Words felt small against what had happened. In the weeks that followed, the valley slowly dried. Mud-caked homes were gutted or condemned. Neighbors helped neighbors. In the weeks that followed, the valley slowly dried. Mud-caked homes were gutted or condemned. Neighbors helped neighbors. Bob moved in with us temporarily while his roof was repaired. He and Rex claimed the guest room. Alina baked extra portions of everything. Bob fixed things around the house that had needed fixing for years. Rex became part of our daily rhythm. Slept at the foot of our bed. He greeted us with enthusiastic tail wags each morning. He followed Alina on walks. Always alert, always protective. He slept at the foot of our bed. He greeted us with enthusiastic tail wags each morning. Followed Alina on walks. Always alert, always protective. Sometimes, late at night, when thunder rumbled far away, Rex would lift his head, ears pricked. Alina would reach down and stroke his fur. It's okay, boy. You're safe. Because the bravest heroes don't need capes or medals. They just need a voice that carries on the heart to keep barking until help arrives.